Hello everyone, this is the Mind of Lilith, and thank you for joining me today. I hope you're all doing well. I wanted to hop on here really quickly and talk about why I believe Jeannie and Jeezy got a divorce. So Jeannie and Jeezy got married a couple years ago during the pandemic. They kind of had a whirlwind romance. I think Jeannie and Jeezy announced their relationship in 2019. They get married in 2021, had a baby in 2022, and they're divorcing in 2023. So this was kind of like a whirlwind romance that kind of crashed and burned relatively quickly. And I don't think a lot of people are surprised that they're divorced or getting divorced. I think they're surprised that number one, he filed, and number two was so quickly. They just had a baby last year. They just got married 2 years ago. So the sudden divorce filing surprised many people. Not necessarily black women, kind of, sort of, yeah, but the timing was just crazy. So this is considered a pandemic relationship. And during the pandemic, the world was shut down. So we were living in like an artificial environment. People who would normally travel for work were forced to stay home with their families, and that made or broke a lot of relationships. We saw a lot of marriages, pregnancies, and divorces during the pandemic. And unfortunately, it looks like Jeannie and Jeezy's relationship is another unfortunate COVID casualty. Now, I will say this. If I were Jeannie, I would not have married Jeezy in the first place. This man, even though he has lots of money, first of all, he's a rapper. I think most entertainers make terrible relationship partners. Rappers are like at the top of that list. They're just terrible when it comes to dating and relationships. Most rappers are not family oriented, and they're not even focused on raising their children like that. I'm not saying all of them are like this, but a lot of rappers have messy lives. This is a part of their job description. Be as messy and nasty as possible. So off the top, I would not have dated Jeezy, and I think that he's doing her a favor by divorcing her. That's number one. Number two, Jeezy has like an extensive criminal record. He was a drug dealer. He has some money now, but again, he has lots of baggage, multiple baby mamas, domestic violence charges, like criminal charges. Like, I would not see him as a prize. But as I mentioned before, because of the perceived value of black men can get a woman like Jeannie a beautiful woman with her own career, no kids. He can land someone like her with all the baggage that he has from being a typical hood nigga, basically. And so, yeah, when they first announced their relationship, it was a very controversial situation because, number one, Jeannie and Jeezy are of different races. Jeannie is Thai and Jeezy is Black American. So there was some controversy about that. But also, a lot of black women felt that Jeezy only married Jeannie because she was an exotical, she wasn't black, and so she was the only one good enough to bear his last name and get married to, even though he had children with other women. And so that was what rubbed a lot of black women the wrong way, especially since Jeannie said that, she would have white men as the main dish and the black men as a side meal, or the dark meat on the side, right? She should have kept Jeezy on the side as a dark meat. She shouldn't have married him. But a lot of black women felt like Jeannie was a preference, or is a preference, and black men are willing to overlook the flaws of biracial or exotical women over black women because they want their children to have the phenotype of these exotical women. So a lot of black women had smoke for Jeannie, which I thought was not really fair. Because again, she seems to have some reverence for the culture, for black culture. I know she said some disparaging things about black men in the past, or sort of kind of disparaging, but I don't see her as a racist per se. She may have ignorant or uninformed views about black people, but I don't get maliciousness from her. She doesn't seem like a malicious person. Jeannie was married to a white guy before she married Jeezy, and they got divorced several years ago because he wanted children and she didn't want kids with him. And so she rushed to get married to Jeezy and had a baby ASAP. Like within a year of them getting married, she has a baby, and it takes 9 months for a child to gestate. So she got pregnant really quickly, which I believe also contributed to the demise of the relationship. So basically, a couple of years ago, Jeezy marries Jeannie. Black men are celebrating this as some sort of victory and evidence that black men can easily replace black women with any nationality because of their perceived value that's been artificially created by black women who see black men as a preference, while black men's preferences usually don't look like the stereotypical or the traditional black American women. A lot of black American women, again, believe that many black men prefer exotic women because they want their children to have the phenotype of the other races. So they want their children to have the features that they desire in a spouse. And so it's almost like eugenics. And black women do this too. And as a side note, I really do not like when black people say that the only reason why we have light-skinned black people in our families is because of slavery and the white man raping black men and women. I don't like that at all, because a lot of us over the past 100 years, 150 years have chosen to be with lighter skin or white people. Black men and women did this. They wanted to keep light skin and light eyes and wavy hair in their bloodline, because when you have no social power and when you have no resources, the next best thing you can offer is your physical appearance. So when you're broke and you're disempowered, all you can do is sell sex, right? And so the more attractive you are, the more value your sex has in the dating market. So if you're a community of people who have no resources, you're enslaved, you're at the bottom of the totem pole, social status is on zero, economic status is on zero, we have no resources, no money, nothing. The next best thing we can offer is our penis, if you're a black man, or your phenotype, your body, if you're a black woman. So that's why a lot of us chose to breed with or have children with lighter complected people, so that our children would not have to deal with the racism that we did in our lives, right? And so stop saying that the only reason why black people have light-skinned people in their families is because of slavery. No, a lot of black people, dark-skinned and light-skinned men and women, chose to only marry light-skinned people to have lighter babies. Okay, all right. So anyway, both sides are guilty of doing this. So anyway, Jeezy divorced Jeannie, and that is what surprised many people. She didn't divorce him. It was a very fast divorce. It was a very short marriage. It's a very short marriage. They got married in 2021, and again, they had a baby in 2022, and here they are divorced in 2023. Jeezy just published a book a couple of days ago, and Jeannie had an interesting post on her Instagram page the day before he announced his divorce. Jeannie was in her beautiful home with their daughter, talking to her, praying for their father's success, showing gratitude to the universe for whatever. And Jeezy's memoir was on the coffee table as a substitute for his presence. That's what struck me. For me, it appeared as if Jeezy's memoir replaced his presence in the home. His career took him out the home. That's what it looked like to me. I'm not saying that's what she said was going on, but the fact that there's a video of her talking to their daughter, and he's not in the video. His book is there. So that book for me is like a symbolic representation of Jeezy, right? He couldn't be there physically, but his book is there. And that book represents his career. It represents his life story. But him physically, he's not in the home present with his wife and child. I suspect and I believe that the reason why Jeezy filed for divorce from Jeannie is because he has career aspirations that require him to spend lots of time away from his family. That's what I believe. I believe that the COVID pandemic puts the fear of God in many entertainers, rappers, actors, not so much as athletes because their bag is so big and many of them were playing basketball throughout COVID. But I remember going on social media and watching many entertainers, rappers and singers in particular, saying that they could not tour. Their money was cut off. Now, their bills weren't cut off. They got to pay agents and, hairstylists and, staff and families, like they're taking care of all these bills, but no money's coming in. I think for rappers or people like Jeezy, who is in his 40s now, he's not a young up and coming rapper. The music industry is shifting away from rap and going towards Afro beats and Latin music. You got artists selling their masters in their publishing because they can't really do much with the catalog anymore because the industry is shifting away from hip hop. I could see someone like Jeezy panicking or being worried about his ability to maintain his current lifestyle or to keep money coming in. And I could see him trying to pivot like 50 Cent did or Jay-Z did into more business, maybe acting, maybe podcasting, trying to rebrand himself and getting away from his snowman rapper image that he cultivated over the past 15 to 20 years. Now, I'm not a big fan of Jeezy. I don't know any of his music. Was he the guy that was like, yeah? I don't know. I don't know any of his songs, whatever. But I would not be surprised if Jeezy, like many other artists and entertainers and rappers before him, is trying to pivot into a different industry or different line of work at this stage in his career. He's in his mid-40s now. So, rapping is a young man's sport. He doesn't have an iconic career like Outkast or Jay-Z. I'm sure he can still make money touring, but the bag ain't going to be the same. And I think that he's looking for other opportunities to branch out into other fields. And so I think that took him out of the home or away from his wife and family for the majority of their marriage. Somebody noticed last year that Jeezy was rarely, if ever, on Jeannie Mai's social media page. Like, she was pretty much a single married mother. And this is sort of on brand for people like Jeezy or men like Jeezy or black men like Jeezy. They have no problem making the babies, but they don't want to deal with the daily responsibilities of actually raising a child. And so the fact that a man who had multiple babies with multiple women that he did not marry was not really physically present for his child, it kind of tracks. And I'm not surprised about that part. But I don't think he was doing it maliciously. I'm not sure. As a side note, I will say this. I think I told you guys before that one of the reasons why I think that Martell and Ariane, their relationship didn't work out too well is because she had a baby and she was no longer the fun girl to be with. She was no longer an escape from the 4 kids he had with his wife, right? She was now a mother who expected the father to show up in a certain way. She was no longer the hot young girl to cheat with in a motel room. She couldn't just pick up and leave and just do whatever he wanted her to do. Her freedom was restricted, and therefore her ability to satiate him at a whim whenever he felt like it was greatly diminished, right? So I think that had a negative impact on Martell's relationship with Ariane. I think if Ariane had not had that baby and Melody divorced him anyway, they would still probably be a little closer today. Because again, nothing turns a man off more in some instances than having a baby, right? And Funk and Dineva said this a couple years ago. The quickest way to lose a man is to have his baby. And I've heard this growing up as a kid too. So if you want to lose a man, have his baby. Jeannie Mai had this man's baby within a year of them getting married. He already had 2 older children and he's in his 40s. I wouldn't be surprised if he resented that as well, because a lot of men feel like they have to compete with their child for their woman's time. And it seems to me like Jeannie Mai had this baby for her and not for Jeezy. I'm not saying he didn't want the baby, but I think that she wanted the baby more than he did because, again, he had no problem walking away from the mothers of his children before. I'm not saying he didn't take care of his children. I'm not saying that at all. But I'm saying that for him, he already had 2 kids that were basically grown. He's in his 40s. This is her first child. So this meant more to her than it meant for him. I think he had the baby for her, honestly. And that could have created some resentment between them because now, I got to do these gigs. I got to be out on tour. I got to write this book. I'm going to meet with managers. I'm going to be in Atlanta while you're in LA. You knew what it was when we got married. You knew I was trying to rebuild my life. I was trying to rebrand. That takes a lot of time to do that. When you're a professional, right? When you're an entrepreneur, an entertainer, singer, actor, whatever, it takes time and money to rebrand yourself. Sometimes you got to spend weeks away from home. You're always traveling, you're always touring, you're always meeting new people, new clients, whatever. And so I think for him, he spent a lot of time away from home to rebuild his life, or to sort of create a new foundation for him and his family, right? Or to try to create new streams of revenue for himself that were not just about music and the music industry. Hence the book coming out. I think 50 Cent has a memoir too. You see what happened with 50 Cent. He's a very successful TV producer and director now, right? Jay-Z, Nas, like a lot of these rappers are getting into other types of business to make more money. And so I believe that Jay-Z is trying to go to the same route, and Jeannie may have grown to resent the fact that she's pretty much a single mother who's married. And Jeezy may have been like, I'm just speculating, well, this is what you wanted. You knew what it was. I got money to make. I'm trying to rebrand myself. I got this book coming out. I'm doing this, that, and the third. I'm trying to make sure that I can build or create a secure financial foundation for our family. And that requires me to be away from home for an extended period of time, period. And most entertainers or successful people will say the same thing. When they were building their careers and they were making their money, they had to spend a lot of time away from their family. This is men and women. If you're a doctor, you're a nurse, you're any sort of professional, you spend a lot of time away from home. So I believe that during the pandemic, it was easier for them to be together. She got used to that dynamic and thought that was going to be the norm, and that was not going to be the norm. Because again, when the pandemic ended, I think they're living bi-coastally. She lives in LA and he lives in Atlanta, I believe. And so, during the pandemic, I'm sure they were spending more time together. And now that everything's opened up, he's in Atlanta, making business deals, writing books, maybe, getting new management. I don't know. But he's out there trying to create a secure foundation for himself and his family, which is why he said on his Instagram post that he doesn't have time to focus on people who are not coming along the ride with him. So Jeannie in my opinion, may have had an issue with him being so busy all the time, because you rarely ever saw him on her social media page. And what happens is, a lot of times when people are living in their purpose, right, they have a specific goal they want to accomplish, they pretty much develop like this one-track minded, myopic laser focus on whatever that goal is, to the detriment of everything else around them. And I believe that is how Martell felt about Melody during their marriage, right? They had just had a baby, but Melody was focusing on the acting and she was trying to build her brand and her empire, and Martell felt like she was neglecting the children. I'll discuss his marble floor-headed ass later on today when I review Love and Marriage Huntsville. But anyway, Martell felt like Melody was focusing more on herself and her career than her children, and so he started cheating. I don't think Jeannie cheated. A lot of these idiots online, these men, are saying that she cheated. No, she didn't cheat. It's just that she probably got frustrated with what was going on. She wanted to see more of him. That made him frustrated because he's probably like, I'm doing this for us. I have other kids to take care of too. I got a mama to take care of, family. I don't know, right? But he probably told her that he was doing this for their family, and that was why she was on board with it initially. But, over time, I think she expected to have this traditional family. That's why she waited to get married, to have a baby. If she wanted to be a single mother, then she would have had a baby with any old random dark meat on the side and not get married. But she wanted to have that nuclear traditional family, I believe. And that's why she married him, assuming that the way things were during the pandemic, that would have been the way their marriage was, for years to come. And it wasn't going to be that way. And I think, again, I kind of got sidetracked. But I felt like Jeezy, he was one-track minded. He was trying to do something for himself. And Steve Harvey mentioned this too. He was like, when men are trying to, get back on their feet and they're focused on their goals, they don't really have time for dating and relationships. I mean, they can see you and hang out with you occasionally, but you're not their priority. Their priority is making money, securing their future, reaching whatever goal that they set out for themselves. And anybody who gets in their way is going to be railroaded. And that's why it's kind of best to give the man space, or meet him where he is once he reaches his destination, if he still wants to be with you. So I think that Jeannie Mai, again, I think that her frustration, her dragon lady temper, because she mentioned having a temper, I think her temper got the best of her, and she probably said something like, "Yo, if I was going to be a single mother, I might as well not have gotten married in the first place." I don't think that's what she wanted, but Jeezy seems like someone who doesn't compromise. Jeezy seems like a my way or the highway kind of guy. He seems like a super duper masculine alpha male, which is what I believe Jeannie Mai liked about him, right? That he was extremely assertive, confident, dominant. And so a man like that is not going to allow you to steer him from his purpose, period. I'm not saying she was trying to do that, but I think that she wanted to have more of a balance. She wanted him to, balance things out a bit. Spend more time with the kid. Maybe, I don't know, whatever negotiation that she was trying to come up with. I think he resented the idea of that. And so he probably was like, yo, I'm not going to let anybody tell me what to do. I got to where I am because I listened to me, right? You only know of me because I listen to myself. I'm the only person I can trust, right? And I know what I'm doing. If you have faith in me and you believe in me, you'll sacrifice a couple years here, some time with the baby so that I can build this up for us. And I don't think Jeannie Mai was down for it. And I don't think he was going to compromise either. I think Jeannie Mai is a Capricorn, and I believe he's a Libra. This is a square. Two different ideologies or perspectives on life. Jeannie Mai has a strong personality too. And so does Jeezy. And so I think that they do love each other, or they did. They like the idea of each other in a sense. I think they were attracted to each other. I don't think he would have married her if he didn't see qualities in her that would make her a good wife. But I think that the baby, number one, was her idea, was a gift for her. But I think that she may have convinced him that if she had this baby, it would not detract from, or it would not take away from his ability to pursue his professional goals either. Because he didn't need another baby. He probably was cool with not having one. That was for her. And the evidence of that is the fact that he rarely ever spent time at home with her and the baby. He was out on his grind. I don't think he was out cheating and being messy, even though it wouldn't be abnormal. But I think he was out here trying to hustle and grind and get his money up, or to, again, rebrand himself so that he's not dependent on the music industry for the majority of his income anymore, because the industry is changing. And so it's unfortunate. I feel bad for Jeannie Mai, even though she said some insensitive things about black men in the past. But I don't feel bad for black men because they know what they're getting into. And most of them don't like being fetishized because that's how they feel valuable, through their sexual prowess. It's not about building anything. It's not about being intelligent or inventive or courageous or disciplined. It's about how big your meat is and how many women want you for your penis. So when she said the whole dark meat thing, I was not that offended by it, because a lot of black men don't like being cucks and bucks anyway. Just keep it 100. So if they're not offended, I'm not going to be offended for them, period. And a black man married her. He didn't mind being the dark meat on the side. That became the main thing. I think they should not have gotten married, not because of the interracial aspect of it, but because they're in different points in different places in their life professionally. They're around the same age. I think Jeannie Mai is 40 and Jeezy's is like in his mid-40s. But Jeezy may have to start over because of, the industry changing. He's in his mid-40s, and rappers don't have a long shelf life in the industry. And he's not some mega super duper star with a massive catalog. He's not. And so, yeah, if he wants to continue to be the man, he got to be smart about his business and pretty much, diversify his portfolio. Right? And again, I think that Jeannie Mai was on board with it at first because she believed that he would have more of a balance, but I don't think that was possible. Or I believe that he didn't meet her expectations and she didn't meet his. She could have convinced him that the baby, again, was not going to get in the way of his plans, because he didn't need a baby. Like, he already had a couple of kids, 3 kids maybe. That was for her. He was already in his 40s. His kids is grown. Like, yo, this is my time to, go full steam ahead of my career. It's time for me to build. People do not understand, or they underestimate. I think Jeannie Mai may have underestimated how much time or how her life would change by having a baby. She was used to being a single woman up until the age of 40. So she's had a lot of freedom, and she didn't want kids until very late. So I think she may have underestimated, or she, I'm going to say underestimated. I think she chose the wrong person to have a baby with. If you wanted a traditional family dynamic, she shouldn't have had a baby with an entertainer rapper with multiple baby mamas. I don't think that was a good idea. I'm not going to say that he had ill intent towards her, but I just think that even though they're the same age, around the same age, they're the same generation, they're in different phases of their life. She wants to settle down and have a family. He's kind of ramping up, right? If you guys remember, Steve Harvey didn't become Steve Harvey until like his mid to late 50s. He got divorced from his second wife in 2009, I believe, 14 years ago. He was 52 years old. So he was like going full steam ahead trying to rebuild after a divorce. I think Jesus in that same mindset, like, yo, I don't have a lot of time left. The industry is changing. I need to be on my grind now. And unfortunately, there's a baby here. I can't be here with you as much as I would like because I got to make sure we good financially, period. California is very expensive. Atlanta's expensive. Like, if you want your child in private school, you want your child in piano lessons, you want your child eating the best foods, medical care, all this other stuff, it's expensive raising a baby. Like, we got to make sure we got our paper together. And so Jeannie isn't broke like that, but she doesn't have as much money as Jeezy. And I think Jeezy may have wanted, or she may have wanted to be a traditional housewife as well, or a stay-at-home mom, making business from home, making money from home. So yeah, I think that's what the issue is. I feel bad for her. Both of them. I don't think this is what they wanted. I hope, honestly, if there was no domestic violence and there was no abuse, that they can reconcile this situation. Even though I wouldn't marry Jeezy myself, that cat's out of the bag. Okay? If he didn't disrespect her, if he didn't cheat on her, and vice versa, there was just, miscommunication and, I don't know, unrealistic expectations, I hope they can come back to the drawing board and figure things out, because I do like Jeannie Mai. I don't think that she had any malicious intent towards Jeezy and vice versa. And even though I rail against black men and I say most black men ain't shit, I don't see Jeezy as a manipulative user who is trying to play Jeannie Mai. I just think that he's at a different phase in his career or in his life where he's prioritizing other things other than being a husband and a father. And similar to what Melody was doing with Martell. Even though Melody did a whole lot more than Jeezy was doing, she was there with the kids every day. Martell felt like she was too distracted with other things going on. The skincare line, her videos, her t-shirt line. She was doing a lot of other things. And he felt like it was taken away from the family. And so, yeah, and she was like, Melody was like, I'm doing it for the family. You're all benefiting from it. That was her rationale for doing it, and that was true. So it's hard to like reconcile these type of situations because both parties are right in their own way. Jeannie Mai is entitled to feel like, this is me speculating, if this is what's been happening, she has the right to want the father of her child to be more present in their daughter's life. She has the right to want to see her husband more too, And Jeezy has the right to make sure that his family's on point financially. Because again, I'm sure Jeannie Mai doesn't want to live a lower middle class lifestyle in California. California's expensive as hell. Okay? And so is Atlanta. Everything's getting more expensive. And he has other kids to take care of. So he has the right to do what he has to do to make sure his family is on point and taken care of for the foreseeable future. That's the role he chose to take on as a provider and a protector. You can't have it both ways and say, well, I want a provider and a protector, and then get mad when they're providing and protecting. Even though he's not there with her physically, I do think he should spend more time with the baby, but I don't know his schedule. I don't know what he's doing. But I would not be surprised if that's the reason why this thing ended so quickly. And it wasn't because of lack of love or anything. I think it was because of unrealistic expectations due to COVID, the baby coming so fast, him, trying to reinvent himself or revamp his brand. All of those factors could have contributed to them getting a divorce. Not cheating, okay? Not whatever people were saying. I think they did genuinely love each other. I hope they can reconcile this situation. But if not, it is what it is. Hopefully they can co-parent healthily and there's no resentment between them. I'm kind of torn about people gloating about this situation because the people who are gloating about it, first of all, they're not married, okay? Black men talking shit about black women and their preferences and all this other stuff. They shouldn't have been doing that in the first place. And black women should not have felt slighted by this man's personal choices, right? We get it. You know, black men and black women have a lot of issues when it comes to expectations in relationships. Black men expect certain things and black women expect certain things. Black men have a different idea about themselves than black women do. Black women see black men differently than they see themselves. That's the problem. And vice versa. Black women see themselves differently than black men see them. So neither black men nor black women see themselves clearly as individuals, and we don't see each other clearly as men and women. And that is a part of the issue that we have as a community. I don't want to celebrate this. Initially, I was like, wow, that's crazy. But for some reason, I feel bad about it. I don't think this is something to celebrate, only because I don't think that this was a malicious thing. I don't think that they're divorcing because somebody cheated or somebody was abusive. Even if that was the case, no, not abusive. I don't think that was the case. I just think that it was just timing, wrong timing. That's always an unfortunate situation, you know, for anybody. Alright guys, I'm going to leave it there. I look forward to reading your feedback. Please like, share, and subscribe, and I will speak to you soon.